back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at the new comic books I picked up for New Comic Book Day. What is it, January 15th? Is that where we're at? I don't know. I think January 15th. All right, so first off, I picked up my copy of Red Coat number 8 a couple weeks ago when it came out. The shop they ran out of copies or something happened that it didn't get pulled to my pull list. So finally got a copy of that in. So talked about that a few weeks ago, but just for the record, it's now in my possession. All right, next up, we're going to talk about. This is a title I picked up. I picked up the issue 1 came out last month. Didn't read it then, but then I just read issues 1 and 2, and it's DC's The New Gods. Now this is written by Ram V, and art is by Evan Cagle. And what really kind of turned me on to this series was when I saw that Jesse Lonergan had posted that he was going to do 4 pages in this issue. In issue 1, there were 4 pages from Jorge Fornes, and then the rest of it was Evan Cagle's art. And then in this issue, there's 4 pages at the beginning, which is Jesse Lonergan. And I like this. I like that it's the first 4 pages of each issue are kind of like a big picture framing of the New Gods and their role in the universe, and so it's just like a nice framing mechanism for the story that's being told, which is actually a very, very personal story. The gist of the story is that there is Metron has reported that there prophecy that there's going to be a new god born on Earth. And the High Father has decided that cannot be. So he does not want this new god to come onto the scene. So he has tasked Orion, who is the son of Darkseid. My knowledge of New Gods is fairly limited. Now I know the characters. I kind of know their interactions and their relationships to each other. But I've not read many New Gods specific stories. I read the Tom King Mr. Miracle maxi series. I loved that. And then outside of that, it's really just been when New Gods characters kind of pop up in bigger DC events, and that's really that's the basis of my knowledge, pretty much. But having read Mr. Miracle, what I really do enjoy is that kind of down to earth relationship between Mr. Miracle, Scott Free, and his wife, Big Barda. Now, in this series, they have their newborn baby Olivia, so they're new parents. There's some life as parents. Moments that are kind of fun to see. And what happens is, okay, so Orion has been tasked to come to Earth to eliminate this new god who has just been born on Earth. So he goes to his brother Scott, Mr. Miracle, and says, okay, I'm going to give you a head start. I need you, the man who can escape anything. I need you to go find this child and keep the child away from me. Because I know my instincts. I know that I'll follow this order and I will eliminate this new god who is only a child. But I don't want to. I know it's wrong. So I love that kind of brotherly dynamic. It's more of a family story, which I'm a sucker for. But it's told on this giant scale, and I think that's really interesting. And I do think that this series will tie back into. Which I don't know that I want. I've talked about this before with the Absolute Universe. I want the Absolute Universe to stay separate. But given the nature of how it was introduced in the DC All-In special, where the Darkseid shows up, creates this rift, and then you see this new Absolute Universe. We know that there's going to be some type of crossover eventually, and I think that the New Gods is maybe the start of that. I don't know if it's going to lead directly to that, but it is a connective tissue story thread to probably tie them up eventually. So we'll see. But no matter. The series itself is very interesting, so I liked this. I like the first 2 issues, and I'll keep getting this. I don't do a lot of Marvel or DC stuff, but this feels slightly outside of the norm, and it's a corner of the DC universe that I'm not super familiar with. So I don't have a lot of expectations or preconceived notions about what I think it should be. So I feel like going in fresh is it will be beneficial to me enjoying the series. So. looking forward to that for sure. All right, and next up is issue 4 of Skin Police. Now, this is one that I've talked about, I've enjoyed so far. This is so issue 4. It was initially going to be a 4-issue miniseries, but the way this ends and the way that it just flat out says in the back page is that more Skin Police is coming. So Skin Police 2 coming fall of 2025. So that's cool. That's cool to see. Written by Jordan Thomas. Art was Daniel Hitt. I really enjoy this art. It's got this fun kind of and I'm not good at describing the artistic styles. I just know what I like, and I know what fits this series. It has this, the science fiction take. There's elements of aesthetics of Blade Runner. Also the idea kind of this task force who has a mission to seek out these duplicates who are clones that don't want to be outed, which is very similar to what you would find in Blade Runner. But I like the story that's being told here. There is a plot twist in here that I did kind of see coming. I will say that it wasn't like a complete shock. Still fun to see within the context of the story, but it wasn't. It was somewhat telegraphed, but it didn't make it. It didn't lessen the impact of the moment, even knowing that it was coming. So. Well, I guess that's not entirely true. I guess it lessened it some, but not lessened to the point where it wasn't enjoyable. I'll put it that way. So, all right. So yeah, cliffhanger of an ending, and more is coming. So I will gladly pick up the sequel series when that comes out. So 2 more issues, both from Image. First being The Moon is Following Us, number 5. I picked up the Riley Rossmo cover as well as the Daniel Warren Johnson cover. Now, I've talked about I like doing this because of their split art duties, the fact that Daniel Warren Johnson does some of the art, the real world setting stuff. Riley Rossmo does the dream world setting. I like having the cover A and cover B because they both are artists on the series. So this serves as a bit of a mid-series finale. There's a kind of an end of the first arc of the story. There's a definite change in new characters are introduced towards the end of this to kind of see okay, well now we're going off in a different direction. But really great issue. And this is one that I continue to, if I give too much away, it gives too much away of the story, and I don't want to do that because the story it's so good. Like it's so fun to see develop. I continue to really enjoy Riley Rossmo's art in the Dream World. This is a very Dream World heavy issue. A lot of action happens within Penny's Dream World. Penny is the daughter in the series. It's 2 parents who are their daughter is in a coma. Who are she won't wake up. She's trapped in her dream world, and they're trying to save her. So they're in there trying to rescue her. You kind of thought like the end of the last issue that yes, that this is where this is going. They're going to save her, and then like a good story, nope, not quite. So there's definite elements of some surprise plot twists in here, and that's what that's compelling comics. So very much enjoy this, and we'll continue to pick this up and enjoy it. I'm sure. And then finally this week we have G.I. Joe number 3, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Tom Riley, colorist Jordi Belair. And I got to call out Jordi Belair because her colors are fantastic. They, Tom has a very kind of Alex Toth kind of cartoon minimalist style to his art, which I really appreciate. It varies. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes we talked about in the past. Sometimes the backgrounds are really fully fleshed out. Sometimes they're not. So it leaves a lot of room for a colorist to come in and really make their mark. And Jordi does that wonderfully in this series. And actually everything I've seen her color of Tom's work has been great. But this issue picks up where last issue ended. We saw Clutch was behind enemy lines in the the Cobra base, and that's fun to see. Clutch is a very lighthearted kind of character. Doesn't take things too seriously. So to see him be the one who, or he's trapped behind enemy lines, really really fun to see. Now, what I will say about this issue, I will plan to do another deep dive with showing Tom's art scans of the original art for this one. But just to give a brief, idea about this series, the pacing, I like what they're doing with the pacing. It's not like a breakneck action, from start to finish kind of series. In many ways, it's a different kind of pacing that both Transformers and Void Rivals have. Transformers is very like breakneck action. It's always moving. There's so many things going on, so many moving parts. The action tends to happen so quickly. Now with Void Rivals, that's a very slow burn kind of thing. There's lots of different plot threads going on, lots of different characters, but things progress much slower. This I think is kind of a middle of the road kind of pacing, which you have human characters, so you can't constantly put them in harm's way and danger. If you want the action to have weight and to have meaning, we already saw a key member of the team get killed in action. So I like what they're doing, and in the pacing, you have there's action, but there's also really great character development going on between all the different characters. You have Destro and Cobra Commander. That dynamic is great to watch. You have Baroness and Duke. You have Duke and Hawk. You have Duke and Risk. There's all these different different kinds of Destro and Mercer, like his kind of right hand, the head of his security forces. Their relationships and how complicated they are and how messy they are make for very compelling stuff. So I love the character work being done here. I love the action. It's just enough action to kind of move things forward, but it's not hasn't been like episodic yet. And maybe we'll get there. Maybe that'll be, once the first arc has been established. But right now, it's, the Joes their backs are against the wall. They are, they don't have the equipment. Cobra has access to Energon-infused technology. They don't have the intel. They don't really know what's going on. They see Cobra as a new player, trying to figure out what their motives are, what they're after, what they're doing, what they're up to. They're really, and then just the fact that after their first mission, which you saw over the first two issues, the Joe's first mission was a complete failure. So it's them rebounding from that. They're so ill prepared for it, seemingly ill prepared for the things that we know are to come. The threats that are there, Cobra, Decepticons, the Transformers are on Earth. They're causing all kinds of damage. So I think that the trick for this series and the Energon universe as a whole is going to be how to balance those. The pace of each of the series, with Transformers moving so quickly, crazy things happening. We saw an entire city of Tacoma just decimated, destroyed. So there's things that should be addressed, but having that, it's going to be tough because you still want to have G.I. Joe be a separate story. You want to have you don't want Transformers to be required reading for G.I. Joe, and vice versa, the same thing. But you also want to be able to show that these are connected. So I think they're going to still continue to kind of walk a fine line of the balance of how to address those things. But so far, I think if you can kind of put some of that on the back burner and just see that the connections are there, the connections will be addressed when they need to be addressed. But to expect that month to month, I think, is going to set yourself up for a disappointment. So anyway, very much love this series so far. Have loved what they've been doing, and very much looking forward to next issue. It sets it up again that there's there's going to be some interesting developments, and I can't wait to see it. So yeah. Anyway, that is what I picked up this week. It wasn't a huge week, but it was a very interesting week. I had, there seems to be, each week there seems to be one or two titles that I'm really amped up to read. So far, last week, it was Absolute Batman and Transformers. This week, we have G.I. Joe and The Moon is Following Us that were really high up there. So, yeah, fun time to be reading comics. So thank you very much for watching this one, and I will see you soon.